Hi guys, and welcome to our next video where now here I'm going to demonstrate how can we install Python and actual Nginx web server on a Kali Linux machine. So therefore we can use different kind of web servers, and so we can do different functionality with them. So for example here I want to show you some tricks about the Python one, but first let me show you how can we install Nginx. So here open terminal, most of the tools are installed from the terminal, so just type apt-get install Nginx. Okay, so click enter. So as you can see, my Nginx is already to the newest version, and we can start the Nginx service with the exact same procedure as the Apache one. So service status, for example, to see the status of the service, and we see that it's loaded and inactive. So now here let's go onto the Python and go for apt-get install Python. So keep in mind, by definition, by default, if we go for apt-get install Python, it's going to install the latest Python 2.7 version, so the Python 2 version. But if we go and actually type Python 3, it's actually going to install the Python 3 latest version. So this is the core principle that I want to mention here about the Python. So we need to specify what version we want to install. So for example, if we type just Python, we are going to get the Python 2 console, and if we type exit and then type Python 3, we now into a Python 3 console. So you need to know the difference, because there are differences between Python 2 and 3, and so you need to be careful with that. But about the HTTP server, we do not really care about it. So here in Linux, it's differently structured and differently engaged, the server. So in order to actually start the server, we need to actually type python -m simple HTTP server, and we specify the port, so port 80. This is how we define and start the server, a web server in Python. In Linux with the simple HTTP server. You saw in Windows it was with http.server. So here if I actually open my Firefox or any web browser I want and actually type localhost, so localhost, I'm gonna get the directory of my home directory. So we see that I've hosted my Python HTTP server in my home directory. And now I get all the hidden files here as I get in the Windows. I get all the directories and all the files there. So this is how the Python HTTP server is working. So now here I just cancel that, refresh that, and you see that I cannot connect now. Now if I type the web port instead of 80 to 8080, for example, now I need to manually specify the port, because by default the web browsers, as we said before, are expecting and are requesting port 80. So now we are not getting any page because we changed the port to not default one. But if we specify the port, so 8080, and click enter, now we get the same content as well. So now I want to show you one more quick tip. If we open actually a new terminal and type service apache to start, there's not supposed to be getting any trouble, because we have socks open on port 8080, but now we've started our Apache service on port 80. So here if I type port 80, by default I get to it works page, the page we actually created in the previous video. It works. So here now I have available 2 running web servers at the same time. And for example here with the Python one, if I cancel that and actually host the server on any port I want, for example the port 8, now I need to specify that exact port. So if I specify the port 8, I get the web server as well. So here now I get the exact same content, and as you can see I can host the web server on any port I want. So that I want to mention is that we can make our machine to work as a server on any service we want, on any port we want, but we have to be having use for it. For example, as you can see, we can set up the HTTP server on port 8, but no one ever is gonna know that our web server, if there's any application, is gonna stand on port 8 unless they nmap and scan our machine to see that we have a HTTP proxy on port 8. So let's actually see what output can we get if, for example, just see our IP address with ifconfig 1.10. Now if I go to my Windows machine and just open a command prompt, now as you can see, I'm using PowerShell. Here I can type nmap because I pre-installed nmap for Windows. I can type nmap and therefore specify the IP 1.10, click enter, and now the nmap started, and let's see what output can we get. So we have running two HTTP services. Now the nmap did not find any service running HTTP at all besides the 80, the default one. But here if I specify the exact port with the -p option and specify the port 8, now let's see what nmap can output for us. So run the nmap scan, and now we should get the result anytime. Yeah, we have the port 8 open, and the nmap do not know what the service is because it is not typically hard-coded service. Well, for example, the HTTP servers are standing on port 80 and port 8080, and when the nmap comes with the information that that port is opened, the machines know that most likely the ports are used for HTTP and HTTP proxy, which is 8080, but now we've hosted a web server on port 8, and the port 8 is not either HTTP or HTTP proxy, so that's why nmap could not resolve what the port is actually there. So as you can see, we can host multiple web servers on one machine. We can host even multiple different kind of services like multiple FTP, multiple SSH on different services, but we need to configure them, and they of course are not going to do any useful work for us. So they can even lead to potential vulnerability, so we have no point of doing that. So this is how you can actually implement different web servers. This is how you can host different web servers on different ports. And if you want to host the Apache one on different port, you need to actually go and edit the config file of Apache. So when the Apache service is started, it's gonna bind to other ports that you defined. So this is all about web servers, how you can create them. This is how you can manipulate and edit the content. You saw how we can access index pages, you saw how we can access directories, and you saw how can we host different web servers on different directories and different ports, and bind them to different sockets. So thank you everyone for watching, and in the next videos we're gonna see how can we actually hack such services, how we can actually enumerate, how we can actually search for information, and how can we actually use that information to find vulnerabilities, analyze that vulnerabilities, and hack that server. So I really guys appreciate for watching, and see you in the next video.